In EVE Echoes, we all start out in high security space, but at some point, for many of us, after running so many news encounters and fulfilling our own side projects, the game can start to become a bit more stale. Maybe you need more diversity in your gameplay, bigger goals to strive for, an opportunity to make new friends, or directions to the subscribe button. This is where null security space might be the thing for you. And in this video we'll be going through the reasons why you should try out the content in Nullsec space. I'm saying try out, you don't have to move in. So if you're already planning on heading out into Nullsec, check out my other tips video before you move into Null for the first time. But enough of that, let's get into the video. So first up, risk versus reward. The rewards of Nullsec content are much greater than HighSec, whether that be greater bounties and loot from NPCs, especially now that loot has been removed from NPC encounters within HighSec, higher value anomalies that can spawn, higher value ores in the belts, and even a higher materials output from planetary interaction. Of course, these higher rewards do not come for free. Anyone can happen upon you at any time and fight you for those rewards, or just fight you for the sake of fighting you. This is, after all, a predominantly PvP oriented game. But if you're happy to take that risk, and maybe take the necessary steps to mitigate it where possible, then the rewards are definitely more than worth it. Do note that the NPCs in Nullsec can be that much more dangerous than those found in HighSec, depending on what type of anomaly you happen to be warping into. So, other players are not exclusively where the increased risk comes from. Next up we have working with others. Obviously by now you'll have recognised that the game has a social element to it, but in HighSec that is mostly limited to joining a corporation and chatting in corp chat and local chat. But in Nullsec, however, this social element is much more integral to the game, whether that is working together on collaborative projects, such as gathering resources for big new ships and structures, coming to one another's defence when under attack, or sharing intelligence on enemy movements, maybe even just simply ratting together on the same high difficulty anomalies. During your time in a Nullsec corporation, you may even find yourself regularly showing up to group events in-game and finding yourself chatting and joking around on voice comms on Discord with people whom you now consider to be friends. Hell, you might even find yourself meeting up with them in real life at a local pub when you discover that they're only a couple of towns away. For many, this aspect alone was a lifeline 3 years ago when the game launched, providing that social connection that many were unfortunately denied in the outside world. Don't be afraid of talking on Discord every once in a while. I myself am guilty of not going on Discord all that often to chat, but I do on rare occasions. So next up we have content diversity. Typically in HighSec, you log in, you rat, you mine, do some trading, and then you feel like you've done just about everything. In Nullsec, there's always something different around the corner. Maybe you're hauling stuff for a friend whilst attempting to weave your cloaked ship through enemy gate camps, coming to a fellow pilot's rescue when they get tackled in system, or taking part in a player-driven competition or event. This game is a sandbox, and you'll find that a huge chunk of your game experience in Nullsec will be through interacting with other players, both friendly and hostile, and engaging with whatever they are providing on the day. We have, of course, player versus player content coming in as the next reason. In HighSec, PvP content is just non-existent, unless you want to count the waiting game, that is faction war games at the moment at the time of recording this video. Granted, you can get PvP in Nullsec also, but that is restricted to fighting away from gates and stations. Yeah, it's not as ideal. In Nullsec you can get PvP content pretty much anywhere that you go. The game doesn't impose any restrictions upon you. You can go roaming around both friendly and hostile space looking for hostiles to engage with, taking part in larger fleet battles with dozens if not hundreds of other players taking part, or even take part in the odd friendly skirmish with other players in your corporation. It has been known for corporations and alliances to arrange their own in-house tournaments, whereby you abide by certain restrictions, build your ships within those restrictions, and just have a nice friendly fight. It's not uncommon, after all, for somebody to want to, say, even test their fittings at the sun in a friendly spar. Those do happen. Just remember not to accidentally kill their ships without their prior permission, because that can cause a little bit of salt. And next up we have bigger and badder ships. If you want to fly something big, like really big, yeah, you can fly the Science-E in high-sec, but those things are ludicrously expensive, especially once you take into account their insurance value. And there are many other capital ships that can be flown in, well, cannot be flown in high security space. I nearly went a bit wrong there. Yeah, whether you want to fly a carrier, a dreadnought, versatile assault ship, force auxiliary, supercarrier, capital industrial ship, or one of the upcoming Titans, or even you just want to have an excuse to own and use a jump freighter. If any of these sound appealing to you, then Nullsec is most definitely where you want to be, as the majority of these ships are simply not able to enter high security space. I say the majority here because the jump freighter is of course an exception to this rule. So those are the 5 main reasons that come to my mind as to why you might wish to choose to move into null security space, or at least try it out in Eve Echoes. Is there anything else that I missed that might make heading into Nullsec a more appealing prospect to you? For me, personally, my motivation for engaging in Nullsec content isn't the risk versus reward, it isn't the player versus player element, and it's mostly more for the diverse gameplay combined with the community atmosphere that is present in many Nullsec corporations. And yes, for those of you that may perceive Nullsec in Eve Echoes to be for the much more hardcore player base that has 8 hours a day of gameplay, it doesn't have to. That doesn't have to be you, and it certainly doesn't apply to me. I am somebody that probably clocks in 3 to 4 hours a week in Nullsec. Yeah, that's it, and that's mostly at the weekends. You don't have to pour all of your life energy into the game to be eligible for playing in Nullsec. But that about marks the end of today's video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to stay tuned and listen to my videos as they go live. Until the next video, fly dangerously and casually, I guess, in New Eden.